The Smith nomination is before the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I reluctantly rise to oppose moving forward with the nomination of Patricia Smith. I don't do so easily nor happily because I believe the President of the United States has the right to make appointments, and I think within reason those appointments should be confirmed. The question before the Senate is this nomination is not whether wage nor hour laws should be enforced. They should be. The question is not whether Ms. Smith has done a good job in New York State, because Republicans and Democrats said that she has. The question is whether the Senate will tolerate a nominee blatantly and intentionally deceiving a standing committee of this body. My guess that the Democratic majority would not have stood for that under the previous administration, and we should not now. Unfortunately, Ms. Smith has been consistently evasive in response to numerous questions from members of the committee, specifically with regard to a program called Wage Watch, which deputizes private activist groups to inspect small businesses to look and seek out to find wage and hour law violations. For 5 years, I've served as a senior Republican on the Employment Workforce Safety Subcommittee and maintains the oversight and responsibilities of the Department of Labor. I am a vigilant, longtime supporter for fair and fully enforced wage and hour laws. The program in this question, Wage Watch, is a program that empowered pro-union special interests to enforce the myriad of labor laws that cover small employers. This approach is simply inappropriate. It can at worst be entrapment and at best an improper attempt to enforce the law. One can imagine the outcry if the Minutemen who patrolled on their own on our border to the south had somehow been deputized by our immigration department under the last administration. There would have been an outrage, and there should have been. The program specifically targets small and medium-sized businesses. In discussing the success of the program, Ms. Smith bragged that one business was closed as a result of this program, telling the New York Times that she had, quote, made the determination that it would be better for workers to lose their jobs than to continue working there. Ms. Smith stated the program would not be used for union organization. However, documents obtained by the State Labor Department and a union newsletter show plans specifically to use the program for union organizing throughout New York. Worse than the program itself, however, was Ms. Smith's refusal to provide the committee with accurate and complete information about the program. In April of 2009, I wrote to Mrs. Smith to ask if she foresaw, quote, the possibility of instituting similar efforts on a national level. On May 12th, she replied that she had not considered or advocated expanding it across New York to other parts of the country or to the federal level or to the state level. However, documents procured by the HELP Committee reveal that Ms. Smith wrote in January of 2009, 5 months before the letter I just mentioned, that she would like to double the number of organizers involved while laying the foundation to expand the program to various parts of Long Island and upstate New York. She continued, we're creating a movement here, and the more the merrier. Clearly, she had both considered and advocated expansion of the program, thus her statement to me was inaccurate. Her deceit on this issue forced me to write the President on September the 10th, 2009, and request that Ms. Smith withdraw her name. I asked the President that a new nominee, one that would both look out for the interest of workers and be honest to the Congress, be nominated. We now see a similar program, like Wage Watch, now called We Can Help, developing in the U.S. Department of Labor. In fact, one of the pro-union special interest groups Ms. Smith deputized to implement her New York program, the so-called National Empowerment Law Project, has been chosen by Secretary Solis to assist in the enforcement of federal workplace laws. And Mr. President, on a personal note, I ran a business for 22 years, and it was a small business. I employed golf court superintendent workers. I employed had independent contractors who were real estate agents. I did a lot of construction where we were subject to the Americans with Disabilities Act. We were subject to all types of labor laws. I vigorously made sure that whatever the case might be, we worked hard to see to it we obeyed not only the letter of the law, but the spirit of the law. But I, too, in my experience from time to time, found those voluntary organizations and sometimes deputized who tried to entrap me, to punish me, rather than find a mistake and help me to correct it. I think the proactive enforcement of labor law should be vigilantly looking for violations and vigilantly pursuing correction, not vigilantly looking for someone that is, in the case of Ms. Smith and the business in New York, you can put out of business and cost the jobs of many employees of that small business. I reluctantly rise today to oppose the nomination of Mrs. Patricia Smith, and I yield back and would suggest the absence of a quorum.